So basically, this is just a combination of our name. This is Eleonora Delfrate. Am I pronouncing it right?
Yeah.
She's from Milano, Italy. This is Gilad Serper. He's from Kfar Avanim, which is near Modi'in, in Israel. And I'm Evyatar Cohen. I'm from Marim in Israel. Basically, Eleonora and Evyatar is E, and Gilad is a G, so E and G. And yeah.
We actually thought about it before, thinking about using it in the competition.
Yeah.
So it's kind of...
No. So, this is our project, pacemakers. We're going to start with some history. Like, the first pacemaker ever implanted. It's kind of a story. Sorry.
Where is my presenter?
Is that?
Okay. Anyway, a short story. This is the first pacemaker ever implanted in a person. It was implanted 58 years ago in a patient in Sweden, and it succeeded, but only for 3 hours. Today, we have some improvements on the system, but not something as like permanent solution. Basically, who uses the pacemakers? We're talking about 10 million people who in the world today use pacemakers in order to regulate their hearts. And out of those 10 million people, some of them are like 60 years old, some of them are less than 5 years old and still need a pacemaker in order to live regularly. Each year that number increases by 1 million new implants. Not exactly 1 million, because some of them are implants for replacing a battery. We'll talk about it later, and some of them are new patients. All right, this is, as I said, the ages of the patients. All right. Okay, so the current situation is that the pacemakers are requiring a battery that can last them an average for about 7 years or so. And then you have to replace it, you have to put a new battery in, or just replace the whole thing, which is also cost effective. You pay a lot of money for those pacemakers. And it's also like, you have to go through surgery, you have to open up your body again and again every couple of years just to replace that pacemaker to live normal. Okay, so what we are basically suggesting is something new, something that's off-grid and sustainable, that will work with our body's energy and will power those pacemakers in a way that you won't actually have to use a battery at all. Like, why should we use a battery? We have our bodies build up muscles. We can use this energy, we can harness it. So, another thing, we were talking about the long-term solution. What does it mean? Well, basically those 7 years on average, we want to delete that. We don't want anyone to have a second surgery just for having a pacemaker and living normally. So we want it to be a solution that will last long and sustain. So it's like sustain the person who is using pacemaker. Like we said, anyway, the feasibility of the project. Basically what we want to say is that what we're offering might not be really that cost effective right now, but in the future, a couple of years, it will be. And right now, it is cost effective, but not as it can be. But it is very feasible. That's what we're saying. Another thing is that, yeah, like we said before, not as expensive as you may think, especially when progress in technology advances.
Okay, so the idea of our project is to use a piezoelectric element and directly implanting it on the heart. What is a piezoelectric component and how does it work? Piezoelectric component basically turn a mechanical stress, such as pressure or deformation in our case, into a voltage, a current. In our case, we know that there are already being developed some components that work. For example, what you're seeing projecting now is a prototype. This piezoelectric element has been placed on the swine heart for in vivo experiments, and they have seen that not only it works, and it gives up a very high power, or at least enough to power what we want to, the pacemaker. In fact, speaking about average pacemaker batteries, we know that pacemaker needs 10 microwatt of power. these lithium-iodine batteries exerted from 2.4 to 2.8 voltage power. This system can generate up to 3 volt power. Okay, so the design of our system will be approximately this. There will be first the piezoelectric component. It will be implanted on the arc. It will be compatible. Our body will accept it because it will be surrounded by a specific kind of plastic that is already being used on the body, and we know it's accepted. Then the piezoelectric, the energy produced by the piezoelectric element is going to be controlled by a control device. This device has multiple functions. First of all, the piezoelectric component produces AC current, and we need a DC current to power the pacemaker. So this control device will change this electricity. Then we know that when a patient runs or has a physical activity, its heartbeat will increase, creating more power. We don't want to have any power issue, overpowering issue. So this control device will be effective in stopping and controlling the electricity flow. Then the electric flow, now that is being converted, will recharge the battery. So that by the use of the battery, we will be sure that in the moment of need, there will always be power. We won't have any risk that the answer from the piezoelectric element will be too slow. And then this power will go directly to the electrodes so that they can work without actually having a direct contact with our component, and there is no risk of interference between this technology. So our system has both advantages and disadvantages with respect to what we have now. What we have, surely it will reduce surgeries since once it is implanted, it will last all life long. But then the surgery that will be needed is longer and more complex, since it will be an open heart surgery. But then, again, this will be a permanent solution. Every surgery implies a high risk of infections, and it doesn't matter how serious the surgery is, this risk will never disappear completely. So, by eliminating this risk, we are providing an effective help to people. Then, again, our problem right now is that there is no mass production of this particular chip. In fact, there is a mass production of other kind of piezoelectric crystals. We have known that. We have seen that mass production drastically decreases the prices of our things. But it's not already done. But there are no technical issues in this. Still, since every surgery is really expensive, and other than the pacemaker cost itself, the surgery and the hospital stay can take a lot of money, in the end we saw that this will reduce expenses because it actually needs a larger first investment, since we have to develop the machinery to create the piezoelectric element itself. But then when this machinery has been built, this will be the cost. In fact, we have estimated that comparing the two systems, in the end, there will still be a spark. In fact, as we said, when the mass production will work, we have seen some piezoelectric elements cost up to $10 to $11 per gram. And this drastically decreases the prices. Then again, as we say, less surgeries. So the prices of the two systems, even if now is not so cost effective because we need to develop the chip itself, it will become cost effective. And this is very important when keeping in mind that we are going to actually improve people's lives. It can get cost effective. So in conclusion, we are working on a system that will be completely free. Patients will not need to return back to the hospital again and again, especially if the heart problem should rise when the patient is still really young, like 30. Because going under several operations and several surgeries can increase the risk of an infection. Then we will use the natural power electricity, the natural power energy And this will be effective because we will use ourselves. We will not rely on anything else. And so we have to keep in mind that this project is worth it because we are investing on the life's quality. Thinking about the past, the first pacemaker lasted for 3 hours. Now we are projecting one that will last all the life long. Thank you very much.
Obviously, as long as the heart is
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I have some comments, questions. First of all, for the piezoelectric component to work, you have to have something at its back in order to press against. So I think you have to consider...
The thing is, the heart is not like floating in space, there's tissue around it, and we're putting it next to the left ventricle, which is the lower room in your heart. This is the most powerful muscle around
Yes,
the heart.
but it has to be pressed from
Yeah,
both
it's
sides.
pressed from this side and from the tissue holding it on the other side. And it worked in an in vivo experiment on swine.
Now, another question, if the battery is full, does it load the heart? Will it make it harder for the heart to press against it because the battery is already full? And the last question, once again, why don't we put batteries outside or at least contacts so we can charge it from outside, either by contact or by inductive charging?
So we've researched into recharging pacemakers. That was a thing back in the 70s, and companies started making it because it had a lot of problems, both mechanically and medically, and also because, you know, if you're recharging it, the companies are not making money for selling you more and more pacemakers and batteries. So people thought it might be because of that as well. They stopped making it.
But we have to think that if we want to power the battery from outside, we have to do wireless charging. And then again, putting a strong current or magnetic field near a system like a pacemaker that works with current flow may not be so safe. And then again, we don't want any cable to come out of the body to charge the battery, since it will increase drastically the risk for infection. So using the heart's power in this situation might actually be the safest, paradoxically, because we are implanting something near, actually, we are implanting something on the heart. Then we are using a particular kind of piezoelectric crystal that's called PZT, and this is super flexible, and it's made and it's built thinking that it has to be light. It doesn't have to burden the already sick heart. So it's been built for this purpose.
It's very flexible, it works with the heart in a way it doesn't damage it.
If the battery is full, then it makes...
This is the reason for
This
this.
is the reason for the
Is there any other organs in the body that you could use for
Yes, that's absolutely a good point. But then we thought that having long cables running across the body may have been...
not outside, inside?
Yeah, but still having long cables, because the good point is that the pacemaker and the piezoelectric element will be really near in the same place on the heart, so that when the cables of the battery, the cables that connect the system to the battery, and then the battery back again to the pacemaker, will be the same. So we're not adding cables, we're not adding anything external to the body. This was our main concern.
And another thing is that the heart is something that works all the time as we speak. You can't put it like in your arm because you don't use it all the time.
No, but a diaphragm you're using
Yeah,
all the
the thing-
time, and you're breathing.
Yeah, with
so
research
you're-
into like using the diaphragm and the lungs maybe, and it's closest to the heart than doing it actually on the heart surface.
I have a question.
No.
Where did the idea come from? This idea? Like,
Well,
how
we kind of thought about piezoelectricity at first, and then like thought about what can we do with it. It was kind of like a teamwork.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.